Okay, part B and C of question 18. Multiply out. Another word for that is to expand, so you might see that language in there as well. Multiply out this bracket. So what we're saying here is that we need to multiply everything inside by y, because this means y times by everything inside the bracket. So all we do is we multiply each thing in the bracket by y. So first of all we times this bit by that y there, and that becomes y times y, which is written as y squared. And then we multiply the positive 5 by y, which is positive 5 times y. And we've finished for a mark. Factorise for part C. Factorise is the opposite of expanding or multiplying out, which means to say we're putting the bracket back in. So the thought process goes as follows. Look at the numbers in each term and find the biggest number that goes into both and write that down. So the biggest number that goes into 4 and 8 is actually 4. So one of the numbers could be the answer to that question, which is the biggest number that goes into 4 and 8. So in this case it is 4. Then I look at the letter parts of the term and say, do they have any letters in common? And they do, they have a P in common. So I write that down. When I've reached that point, I'm going to open empty brackets, because remember factorise means to put brackets back in. And then I have to kind of use my reverse working to think what goes here, so that when I multiply it by 4p, I get 4p squared. Well, I've got the 4 already, I've got one of the p's, but I'll need to times it by p to get the p squared. So when I multiply them together, I'll get 4p squared, which is what I want. Then I have to figure out what goes here, so that when I multiply it by 4p, I get minus 8p. But it's going to be minus, and to get the 8, I'm going to need to double that 4, so it's going to be minus 2. And the key word here as well, I should draw your attention to, is the word fully. There were ways to factorise this partly, which would have only got you 1 mark. So for instance, suppose I only noticed, or I thought the biggest number that goes into 4 and 8 was 2, and other than that I did everything correctly, I will have got 2p in there minus 4. Now this would expand to that correctly. It is a correct factorisation, but it's not done fully because I didn't pull out the biggest number I could here. So it's important to consider making this number the biggest possible number you can, otherwise you'll only get part of the marks.